together with all these modifiers. Okay, so I'm going to create a new SwiftUI view, and for lack of a better name, I'm going to call this very cool text view, and it's better to take the time and really think of a good name. I'm just going to input this, and we need spacing. This will be a double, and if double is not suitable, the compiler will correct us. Okay, next let's have text1 to be string of type string, text2 and text3. So that's going to be text1, text2, text3, which will obviously replace the lines over here. So text1, text2, and text3. And of course we'll have a problem in the preview. Now the scale was a CG size. And we had something else that was missing, an angle, which should be a double. And opacity, we don't have an opacity, so let opacity be also a double. And now we're missing a bunch of arguments, so Control Option Command F. So spacing 5, text1 is line 1, text2 is line 2, text3 is line 3. The scale, let's take CG size, width height 0.5, 0.5, angle say 45, opacity 1, or maybe 0. Okay, but at least we have something to work with now. Okay, so that looks cool. And we might want to consider another example, right? We could consider, say, vstack. We could consider another example, say with spacing maybe 25, not really changing the text, scaling all the way up to 1. Maybe set the angle to 0. And the original text, let's start with opacity 0. And maybe let's flip the 2. So maybe it might give us an idea what we'll be starting with at the bottom and what we'll end with. Okay, but we want quotes and not line 1, line 2, line 3. And currently this doesn't look beautiful, but I think the end result will actually be quite decent. Okay, great. So let's go back to our splash screen view, and we want to just get rid of this, all of this, and so splash screen view, excuse me, very cool text view, and I want to use the spacing. I want to use text1, which, okay, we can just call it line 1 for now, line 2. Actually, let's name, so let's just call it line 1. So let's create some computed properties basically. So we're going to have var line 1 string, and instead of line 1, maybe it could be Chinese. So I'm going to start with Chinese. Then I want opinion. And finally, I want English translation. Okay. So let's go back down. There's no line 1. This will be opinion. This will be our English translation. This will be our scale, our angle, and our opacity. And now this is something reasonable that we can deal with. So let's see. Okay, so this looks good. So next, within, right below the very cool text view, within this VStack, I'm going to put a spacer. Okay, so we have a spacer, but I don't really want a spacer. I want the spacer only if we move up. So if move up, put in a spacer. So currently move up is false, so we're not really going to notice anything, and that's fine. Next, I want a nice little button at the bottom of the screen. And this is where I want to use some code folding, okay? So we have this Z stack up here, okay? Let's fold this V stack. So let's see what we have here. We have a Z stack with an image and some dark background. We can't see the image yet. We can only see the dark background. Then we have a V stack. And then at the bottom of the screen, regardless of the animation, I'd like to have a button. That button, the goal of the button will be to skip the splash screen if we don't want to waste our time and we just want to start playing the game. Okay? So I am going to add a button, but I want this button to be at the very bottom of the screen. So first of all, let's start with a button that won't be at the bottom of the screen. So we have an action and we have a label. Okay, so the label will be the friend. Took up a lot of room. Let's make it resizable. Let's make it scale to fit. Let's give it a frame. Excuse me, I'll do that again. With height 75. Let's use a clip shape of capsule. And I'd like an overlay. I should change the parentheses. An overlay also of capsule. And now stroke. I'm going to use a line width of 1 and actually color dot red. Have a little space there. Let's fix that. Okay, but now I'd like to push it down. So let's embed this button in a VStack, and I'd like to push that down, so I'm going to use a spacer. Okay, it was covering up our text. And now we want an action. So we had is presented, and let's toggle that. But I would like to animate the change. The change from what? It'll go from the splash screen view to the main view, and then we'll start playing our cool game. Okay, so let's take a quick break, and in the next lecture we'll be adding the animations.